Welcome to Gatwick Airport. Today we're going to Belfast and we're going to find out what it's like to fly Easyjet post-lockdown. Our flight today departs from the North Terminal, meaning a short trip on the shuttle train. There's a clearly signed one-way system here. The train wasn't overly crowded, but maintaining a 2-metre distance certainly wasn't possible. It's a sorry sight over the airfield to see so many planes parked up with engine covers sealed and nowhere to go. Security was understandably quiet. Contrast this to what it's usually like at this time of day and this time of year. Thousands of people hustle and bustle, all trying to get through. Certainly not today. On the floor there's tape to ensure you maintain social distance in the queue. Today there were only a few of us travelling, meaning one security lane was open. Every other position within the lane was out of use to help maintain distancing. Once you get your things back, only 1 in 4 of the repacking stations are open. Despite all of this, the experience was quick and no different to the usual. However, when things did get busier, adding plenty of extra time to compensate for this reduction in capacity. The duty-free store was open and had a one-way system in place and stations to sanitise and wipe down surfaces. It's just so quiet, it just doesn't feel right. Most shops are closed, with only Boots and WH Smith open. When I flew, there was absolutely no chance of a pre-flight beer. The same goes for restaurants and cafes. It's so gloomy on the upper floor, walking through the land of abandoned outlets. It really is quite sad. There's a handful of flights left to depart later today. Sadly, no flights for these parked aircraft. The gate was announced 45 minutes before departure. Interestingly, the identity checkpoint was fully open, with no checks in place. All passengers were instructed to sit down and not queue as is the norm. Boarding was by seat row number, with, quite oddly, the centre of the aircraft being boarded first with rows 10 to 20, followed by the rear rows, and finishing up with the front. We're sat in row 24 today, so the second boarding group. All airport staff now wear masks, and also don't handle your ID or boarding pass. Instead, you scan your pass and show the gate agent your passport, rather than them handling it. A bit different to my experience this time last year. We're in for a treat today. It's a relatively new A320NEO for our 1-hour flight over to Belfast. And here we are, 117 days since my last flight before lockdown. We're boarding my first flight after lockdown. Check out the last flight in the link above. I'd say the aircraft was around 80% full today, with the centre rear of the cabin the most packed, in line with it being the cheapest place to reserve a seat. Boarding complete, and one thing to note, if you do need to use your oxygen mask, remove your face covering before you do so.
My name is Matthew Holt. It's my pleasure to be your captain on board today's service. Joining me in the flight deck, my colleague Ryan Mooney, and between the two of us, we're going to fly you northbound with a flight time this afternoon of 1 hour and 5 minutes. In the cabin, you've got a fantastic team looking after you. Your cabin manager is Nabil, and very shortly he'll be introducing the rest of the crew, and then they're going to run through a safety demonstration. So I'd appreciate if you give it your utmost attention as it's for your safety and those around you. Just about ready here at the front, done the last bits of our paperwork and we'll be pushing back in the next 4 minutes or so. Ryan's got the pleasure of flying to Belfast. I'm sure he'll come back a little bit later on and give you an update on the arrival time and the latest weather. But in the meantime, I do hope you make yourselves comfortable. Thank you.
Taking off from runway 26 left, we banked right and headed north over London, passing to the northwest of the airfield. There was an air of nervousness amongst the passengers, everyone a little apprehensive. The crew instructed us not to wipe down any surfaces with wipes or gel, as the aircraft had been disinfected with long life product. If you want to use the loo, only 2 people are allowed to queue at once. Due to the restrictions, on this flight Easyjet didn't offer any bistro service, meaning no snacks or refreshments, and there's also no duty free. The air vents appeared clean, although I didn't touch them, and at first glance the seat also appeared to be tidy. On closer inspection I did find some staining on the bottom of the tray table, although this could have been there for a while. In the seat pocket there is no in-flight magazine, only your safety card. However, in my seat I did find a dirty tissue in the pocket. Who knows how long that's been there for. The carpet of the aircraft was probably the cleanest that I've seen on a plane. Although uncomfortable, the mask wasn't too bothersome. Anyway, it's time for a trip to the loo. And the only real change in here was the inclusion of a new sign recommending you wash your hands for 20 seconds. The standard soap is still in place and overall the loo was clean. Soon we started our descent into Belfast International. The approach was relatively smooth, albeit for a slight bit of turbulence as we broke into the cloud layer. We lined up and landed on runway 25.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Belfast, where the local time is approaching 4 p.m. Once we arrive at our final parking position, there will be a row-by-row disembark process in place, so we kindly ask you not to stand on the aisle while waiting for the doors to be open. And start disembarking the aircraft and standing up on the aisle once the row in front and behind you has left. We do also ask you not to stand on the galleys and near the main exit. Thank you.
The row-by-row disembarkation I really liked. I wish it was like that in normal times. Most people waited patiently for their turn, a welcome blessing to the usual fight for aisle space as you try and get off the aircraft. As we entered the terminal, you're reminded everywhere of the virus. There's sanitizer to use and social distancing signage on the walls and on the floor. So there we are. We can now take the mask off. Oh, that's better. Can't get it off. There you go. That is what it's like to fly EasyJet post-lockdown in the UK. Let me know what you thought about this new flying experience. If you liked the video, give it a like, and to see what Ryanair looks like and British Airways in the next couple of weeks, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.